Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. Scotty and I are going on an adventure down memory lane to have a look, as you've seen from the title, in one of the most exciting and I think in the latest decade, the most defining moments and expansions for Magic the Gathering, which is Throne of Eldraine. Thank you very much, Scotty, for that intro. So we wanted to do something a little bit different. From anybody who is used to our channel and subscribed, we try and do unboxings and explain to you what's inside of products and look at new products and give you our opinion. But this is going to be a reminiscent of an older set, so we won't be reading the cards. Realistically, we'll just be looking at the cards as we talk about what this set meant for Magic the Gathering and why it's so important and why is it so defining. And not a lot of people realize how big of a set this is. So we'll start by unboxing the draft booster pack, which at the time were still called booster packs, but when they were released, Rosewater had called them draft booster packs, and then we'll finish up and we'll do the collector's boosters after that. We'll be unboxing both, and yeah, so we'll be diving into the box proper. And seeing as this is the first time that I'm trying to do two things at once that aren't regarding what I'm necessarily doing with my hands, I apologize if there's a little bit of a mismatch here and there. As we said, this set was really important. It was released in November 2019, as you can see here. It was released in November 2019, and it was the first set to have had a distinction in booster pack. Before Throne of Eldraine was released, there were no set boosters, collector's boosters, and draft boosters. They were just boosters, meaning draft boosters. And then you would get the collectible cards, or the nice little pretty cards that are so easy to find, the nice versions, in other places, mainly in tournaments and collectors rewards. And just overall, it wasn't as easy to find. We should start a little bit earlier than 2019 as we start with our first booster, and we should look at what Wizards of the Coast called Blueprint 2.0 and the fireside chat. In case anybody is interested in a very long video about this fireside chat and analysis of that, you'll see a link up here for it. But basically, at the time, they were trying to look at a way to monetize Magic the Gathering a bit more, to try and get more revenue out of it, and they took a big gamble, because before, the game was extremely oriented towards players and not collectors. It was more oriented towards players, tournaments, and this is the first time that they thought about, okay, what happens if we try and take our products to the next level and try and go for addressing collectors. And this is in a little post that Mark Rosewater had written to introduce what they called the Booster Fund Project. And this is what it was. The Booster Fund Project was supposed to be an introduction of wonderful little cards, versions that were newer. Trial of Crimes, decent card. And we start off with a Brazen Borrower. This is a beautiful card. It's one of the more valuable ones of this set. Currently played in Pioneer and in many other places. Extremely good card. We were very lucky. So Mark Rosewater said that people were very eager to try and find nicer versions of the card, and their answer was this Blueprint 2.0, where they tried to address this and give us more versions. Now, what ended up happening is that because Magic the Gathering print runs are years ahead, so the way that you'll see right now, the products that are being released at the moment, also by the way, the set had introduced really cool mechanics like adventures, which you'll see in the Wilds of Eldraine making a return. But the set that we see today, that are released today, are actually been planned years ahead of time. Usually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 years ahead of time. And this is why some of these sets, like for example, the announcement that they made at MagicCon, that they released and announced the next 19 sets, some of these ones are not going to be even named. They just still have some project names or placeholder names for the set. Ooh, Cauldron Familiar. This is a great low card that's used in Pioneer today. Wonderful card. I'll put it aside as a valuable one. And yeah, the idea was that realistically they were going to take the gamble, and for 2 years they're going to work on bringing back the focus around collectors rather than players. And that's exactly what they did. Wow, Mirror Mid foil. Beautiful. This is a foil rare and then on adventure. So when they took the focus back onto collectors, they tried to figure out a way to do that. And they did it in a twofold way. Right? And you know, nowadays we're used to it, but before it was very much unheard of to have had so many collector's versions or different types of cards found. It was, if you wanted a card, it was extremely hard to get. You had to open quite a few draft packs or packs, booster packs in general. I think the average was 6 to 8 to get most of the rares and the mythics. So I would say 10 if you wanted to open the whole entire set, which meant that necessarily you were going to buy the cards that you wanted the most. And there was a bit more scarcity, and this is why the players nowadays are a bit more annoyed. Let's leave it at that. Wow, Round Cloak Giant, that's another mythic. That's wonderful. Good mythic too. And yeah, they were a bit annoyed when they found out that so many versions of cards were going to be printed, because the idea is, you know, Throne of Eldraine was going to usher in this new era that you were going to get the collector's boosts. But the way that they sold it was that not everyone would get the collectible versions, but unfortunately everyone wanted a collectible version. And do remember that back then they introduced the draft boosters, which were still called boosters, and then they introduced set boosters much later on with the Rise of Zendikar, or I think that was the name of the set, which was the 2 or 3 expansions in a main block later. And what ended up happening is that, yeah, the collector's boxes were extremely sought after, but they printed quite a bit of them. And yeah, we started seeing a trend that the normal card versions of cards that usually, you know, mythics and rares that would be much higher in price started lowering in price. And realistically, this is why a lot of people, if you've heard about the idea of, you know, the game has a lot of duplication or overprinted, it's not because they don't print to demand. Wizards of the Coast prints to demand, but it's because they print, you know, you can find now a card in 10 different versions. Like, for example, the Sheoldred of the Apocalypse, you can find her in 9 other different versions than the basic one. And that puts a strain on the market of people that collect as well. So in a way, they shot themselves in the foot. But the other thing that they wanted to do with this Blueprint 2.0, which is what they ended up doing, is a month after, or around the same month, what they did was they introduced Secret Lair. And Secret Lair was the other answer of, do you want the super duper amazing collectible version that is only available through our stores? Then you have to order it online through us. And that was their second plan on making this booster fun thing a reality. And I believe that had they kept the booster fun limited to only the Secret Lair, which, by the way, at the beginning, the Secret Lair was, again, a very big gamble, and then they saw how much of a demand there was for it, and they just started printing like crazy. Oh, Edgewalling Keeper, great for the adventure deck and the Poods deck. So they started just printing like crazy once they saw that things were working. Oh, Murderous Rider. Now we see the booster fun in effect. This is the Murderous Rider. This is the beautiful fairy tale version. At the time it was called the showcase version. And yeah, this is a beautiful version. And it brings back very beautiful memories to me, and I'll explain why in just a bit. But yeah, so they started printing so much of that, and because in the end they don't have to worry about passing through distributors, that's straight to from the makers of the game to the players, right? So what I ended up doing is that, yeah, they got a lot more money. They got a lot more money, and they realized that it was going so well that what they thought about doing, which was in Zendikar, was that why don't we divide the products even further, a step further, for those that can't afford collector's boosters, because this was the problem at the time. Now we're kind of unfortunately getting used to the idea of paying a premium of 200, 300, 400 pounds for a booster box. But at the time, this booster box I think cost around 90 pounds. And there was MSRP as well. And yeah, you were trying to find things, but the collector's booster was around 200 pounds and it wasn't really easy to get. So what we ended up having to do is, a lot of people said, well, I can't afford the collector's boosters. And Wizards of the Coast had already planned to introduce the SAB boosters. This is why ahead of time they have started discussing about theme boosters and draft boosters and making that distinction, because realistically in products there wasn't a distinction up until Zendikar Rising. We didn't have such a big division and people needed to spend more money to be able to get these collectibles. And as you can see, they were introduced throughout the draft booster and you could find them in there, or you could go for the theme booster and get a specific theme. But if you wanted the collectors, you had to spend a lot of money. And so this is why eventually they ended up with the idea, well, you know what, we will also give you the SAB boosters. But again, it was planned. It was planned ahead of time. It wasn't well, you asked us for it, we're giving it to you. It was more of we'll gradually introduce it, see how it goes. If there's an uptick to it, great. If not, we're taking a huge risk. But in the end, the reality of things is that it paid off. If you look at it today, Magic the Gathering has become this huge, business now. Ooh, which is and that's another good card. I'm gonna put it here. It's become a great business, and the main idea is that even in the years where the business has gone down due to COVID, due to other things, and to be fair, during COVID they actually raised in revenue and profits like most hobbies. But what ends up happening is, even in the years where the recession, like last year and this year, Magic the Gathering is making them the most money, and it continues to see steady growth. And realistically, what they ended up doing, and one of the reasons why people were so pissed off, is they don't need to have a person buy everything. Like, they don't care if you buy a collector's booster, draft booster, etc., because they've segmented and targeted very specific people to each product. And this is why Throne of Eldraine changed things so much, because it got the ball rolling. And had they seen that after the first few expansions things weren't going to go that well, they would have, reducted, they would have changed their idea of doing things, and probably we would never have arrived here. Maybe they would have even canned the collectors. But because Giant Killer, classic, we're in the humans deck. But because, wow, that is a beautiful card, by the way. Bone Crusher Giant in the showcase version foil, used today in Pioneer and many others. Wonderful card. But because it worked so well for them, then they had no reason to stop. And unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast has this tendency of doing things very simply, whereas if something works really well, they're gonna continue to do it over and over and over and over, up until, people have had enough. But this is why now, with the Commander Masters, we're seeing this incredible, Thorbrand, also decent card. We're seeing this push of monetizing even further, because again, in the Fireside chat, one other thing that they said is that they want to increase the revenue by, if I'm not mistaken, even above 50% more. And the way that they do that is by decreasing costs, but also by increasing the overall prices of the premium items. And again, they don't really need you to buy the premium items, because there are going to be people, such as channels like myself, but overall, there's going to be hype around the product. And there's, nice card that got banned real quick. Beautiful Once Upon a Time, really good card. But there's always going to be people buying their product. In the end, I always equate this game to an addiction to gambling, because this is what it is. In fact, a lot of channels are out there making a living out of this because of the dopamine hit that you can get out of this, and because it has monetary value. Now, the thing is, they cannot in any way, shape, or form, Wizards of the Coast, trying the lock missing card, they cannot acknowledge the secondary market in a way that we are thinking. What they need to do is, because otherwise these products will not be able to be sold to ages 13 and plus, it will be limited to 18 and plus, and then it enters the whole gambling scene, and that's highly regulated. You can't have ads for certain things like gambling, smoking, drinking, like online. There are very, very strict regulations, so they want to keep it game friendly. And from their side, all they're doing, they know it, then that's why the premium versions, Commander Masters cards are so expensive. The boosters, they know that those cards are sought after, and they will price them accordingly. They are very good for Commander, but they will not care about anything else, right? They just care about the bottom dollar. So I'm not trying to rant against Wizards of the Coast. In fact, this is not a rant. This is very much an analysis. I think that they're doing the right thing. In the end, I don't have to buy everything, neither do you. If you really want to get access to boosters, you have access to them. If you want specific cards, you can buy them separately. Mystical Dispute, a great low uncommon. Oh, the Magic Mirror, haven't seen this in a while. But yeah, that's the gist of it. Like we have access to every version now, and it's much easier than before. So they've done their job, and it's gotten them a lot of money. And I don't foresee this shutting down anytime soon. I don't think that they will stop. I don't think that they will really, wow, beautiful hypnotic sprite and the showcase. I don't think Epic Downfall, it was a good removal. Ember Shieldbreaker, Charming Prince, Island, and Love. I don't think that they will stop, and I foresee that they will find even more ways to monetize things. But here's the thing. Is it wrong? Let me know in the comments down below. I read comments and I reply to them. But let me know in the comments down below, is it really wrong that people like Wizards of the Coast want to have all these versions? Is it really bad? Because yes, you have a diluted value of most of the basic versions of the cards, but at the same time, it's allowing more access to more versions. Castle Ardenvale, beautiful, beautiful card. Castles in this expansion are amazing. But yeah, they're allowing more players to have more access to more things that they really wanted that before was extremely limited. And under that guise, yes, they're making a lot of money, but in the end, I think it was really intelligent. So this is why, realistically, this set has been such a game changer for Wizards of the Coast. It was the first set that changed everything, that made things extremely different from where they were before, and there's no way that they're going back. Now, looking at the set itself, the set was also an incredibly beautiful change of pace, because they had never managed to do, this is from Mark Rosewater, he said himself that he always wanted to do a fairy tale set, but he had never managed to do that. And this resonated with me a lot. In fact, at the time in between 2018 and 2019 is when I got back into the game proper. And little did I know my life was going to change forever, in both good and bad ways back then. But what ended up happening is, I got really sucked in Throne of Eldraine. I think I had a full playset of Modern Horizons 1. I wasn't playing Modern, and I just sold a full playset and I bought a lot of collector's boosters, which with hindsight, I think it was a great decision, because it kept the roof over my head during COVID, me selling those cards, and thanks to also my friend allowing me to help me sell them. But claim the first one, great little card. But the reality, and Fires of Invention, played in the Invention deck. But the reality of things is that this set was a wonderful change of pace from what we were used to. And if you think about it, there were a lot of great sets that I don't think were replicated ever since, and I kind of feel that this is where Magic the Gathering lost its appeal, or at least part of its heart, and this is where they started going a little bit more towards Lyndon, the I guess, monetary and less into, I don't know, the heart of the game and making great sets. Because if you think about it, this set had cards that were banned really quickly. Now, they weren't banned as quickly as it was the Saga block, because it took quite a few months. But they had Oko, they had Once Upon a Time. There are cards that in this set still to this day are still being played and very sought after. We've seen some of them like Brazen Borrower, the Castles, the Bone Crusher. There's the Great Henge, which is an amazing card that is really sought after Commander players. Oko to this day is still very playable in, you know, specific formats. But after that, you start looking at the history of Magic the Gathering since then. Now it's been 4 years. And you see that the sets kind of took a very toned down approach of strength. And I feel that up until War of the Sparks and Dominaria, they kind of wanted to really make it fun for the players, give them a lot of crazy stuff. And then they started toning down and they started focusing a lot more on the products themselves and the collectability. And the power level just dropped. And at the same time, I think this is when, I mean, I remember the standard events, the World Championship. At the time, it was insane. It was beautiful. And I know that, you know, COVID, unfortunately, put a dampening in the process of everything. But it just seems that since then, Magic the Gathering just hasn't had the same touch. And this is what I'm hoping that the new Wilds of Eldraine will bring. Great little card in once over. A newfound interest and more heart to the expansion itself, and that we will see some really strong game-breaking cards. Maybe not Oko strong, because that was a bit annoying that everybody had to play that card to be able to compete. But yeah, in a way, it would be really nice to see if Mere Serpent, if this set can truly provide the Wilds of Eldraine a much-needed respite and maybe a little bit of breathing space to us players. I really hope so, because nice. It's one of the sets that for me has a good place in my heart. It has mixed feelings, but overall I have very good memories around this set, and I'm truly hoping, would be awful nice, that the new expansion of Wilds of Eldraine will be able to maybe change things a little bit more. Now, as we said, this set has a lot of wonderful cards. Some of them we've seen them before in the unboxing. But yeah, it had a lot of great fun, and also the drafting for it was extremely fun from what I remember. It was really nice. Ooh, Gilded Goose, another beautiful card. See, there are so many cards in this expansion that players are still playing to this day. They're still extremely sought after. Yes, they've been reprinted, like the Gilded Goose has been reprinted in a lot of Commander decks now. But the truth of the matter is that this is a great expansion, and because of the nature of our channel where we try and explain to you how things are inside of booster packs and what you can find inside of products, this really kind of kickstarted all great low card. Fable Passage, very good, was really kickstarted by the fact that Piper of the Swarm foil, rare, nice. The fact that we really wanted to know and show and give a guide to the chaos that unfortunately is at the moment this landscape of cards, you know, of expansions. Because even if you look at it from a very logical standpoint, Wizards of the Coast can't easily explain certain products, and this is why Castle Locthwain, another one of the great cards that you're looking for in this set. So this is why it's really important that we, for example, as a channel, this is our lifeblood, this is how we explain to you things. But yeah, I believe that this was the set that really pivoted Magic in such a way that sets like, I wouldn't necessarily compare it to Urza the Saga, because that was a huge pivot. You have no idea how big of a pivot it was at the time. But yeah, almost comparable to some of the sets, because yes, War of the Spark had a lot of One Preserver, a lot of Planeswalkers, and that was different. You know, Ixalan, same thing. had a lot of new interactions and introductions. Dominaria the same, and it had a lot of powerhouses like the Teferis. But realistically, this one I believe has the most amount of there's one keeper again, of value to this day, intrinsic value, and also overall it made the biggest change. Rankle, Master of Pranks, another great card to be had from this set. We've gotten very lucky to be had in this openings, and just overall it's a great product, and I think it's an extremely understated set. The fact that, you know, collectors boosters have held in the same price shows that they overprinted it a bit too much, maybe. But yeah, which is often another great card. But it's also nice that in the end people are able to access all these cards, and you're not limited to only buying them because it's easier to get it. So that's that on the whole. Now, let's have a look. We only have 3 more, including this booster. So let's have a look at what we get here. And then we will move towards, Giant Killer and the showcase version. Very beautiful. And then we'll move towards the collector's booster. And I know that everybody's excited for the collector's booster, but the thing is, it's true that at the time you could find a lot of very nice rare cards in here as well. As you can see here, yes, we got very lucky. We had a lot of mythics, but I've opened quite a few of these booster packs back then, and because there was no set booster, because there was no division of rarity at the time, familiar, at the time, you could easily find, Love-Struck Beast, wonderful, wonderful rare and foil. You could easily find a lot of value in the normal booster. Now, unfortunately, the value has been divided. So the draft boosters are mainly for drafting. That's all they care for. The value is more in the set boosters, and even then, if you look at Masters review that we've done, it's not really there anymore, because if you're looking at the fact that Wizards of the Coast is slowly ramping up the price for all of their things, it's just non-bearable, and there's no value in it. It's just, you know, it costs the same amount for them to print as any other cards. So rare cards, fancy cards, they cost the same amount to print. Also, this is Javier Dominguez, the 2018 World Champion. Very cool card. And yeah, this is the reality. Anyway, let's start with the other collector's booster. Okay, so the collector's booster is one of my favorite things. I've opened quite a few of them, and yeah, I just love the cards. And this is been sealed since 2019 for me. I bought it myself at my local game store at the time. Shout out to Mox in a Hole here in Edinburgh. But yeah, this has been a great time coming, and honestly, I think at the same time it's a bit of a bittersweet moment. I'm happy to be able to open this on the channel. I know I don't have a lot of subscribers at the moment. We're a very small channel at that, but yeah, it's kind of like a path that's been taken, and I'm happy to be able to share this with you guys, whoever's watching. And yeah, I really appreciate all the chances and opportunities that I was allowed to have thanks to this beautiful product. And I love Magic the Gathering. It's been part of my life since 1994. In many ways, it's ups and downs that have gone through life. I'm on the side, I've always had Magic the Gathering. So we'll just have a look at the box. As usual, we kind of have a look. There's no fancy engravings. It's just a beautiful, beautiful version of Garrick. And yep, that's it. And then you get the 12 booster pack collectors. Okay, walk down memory lane. This is the first real collector boosters ever made. So yeah, I find it fitting that we will do this. I had all of the Wilds of Eldraine. Hopefully they will bring back some really, really cool things. Now we'll look at the foils, and we will try and separate the showcase ones. Rimrock, Reaper of Night, Tall as a Beanstalk, and Shining Armor. 7 Dwarves, you can have 7 of them. Fairy Vandal. Then we get uncommons, and Resolute Rider, Beanstalk Giant, wonderful card. Bone Crusher Giant, a classic and a beautiful, beautiful card. Twinville Treefolk. So as you can see, the rares were kind of scattered. The the rares and mythics of this showcase version, you could get them at this level, and then you still have the rares and mythics at the back. And yeah, you could also get in this slot at any one point, one of these cards would be replaced with the borderless planeswalkers, which is the new addition that they did. You know, they did the showcase and the borderless planeswalkers with the alternate versions to usher in this collector's extravaganza, as you can call it. Twinville Treefolk, Reaper of the Night, Rowan, Fearless Spark Mage, very nice card. And this is the ones from the deck. This is the wildcard slot, so this is when it was introduced, because at the time also, that's very true. This at the time, it was the time when they started introducing, playing around with the idea of having commander more off. So they were checking to see, this is Wildborn Preserver and Clack Bridge Troll and foil. So they were starting to see and check what was the uptake of people that wanted to buy the Brawl decks. And the Brawl decks at the time is what we have nowadays, because at the time there was the Commander Masters, it was the Commander set that was released once a year, and you get, you know, the 4 or 5 decks at a time, and that's it. You didn't really have any commander. So what they did, again, alongside the collectors, they targeted, you know, the drafters, and they targeted the commander players separately. And the Brawl were the first tentative way of introducing commander decks at every expansion, Squire. So that's why I believe the set was so pivotal, because this is where they also started with the unfortunate thing that they started pushing commander decks so much more often. And as you see today, as you might have seen maybe from our review as well, these decks are starting to go down kind of value of what you get, because you only get 10 new cards, but the value, the price is going up significantly. And honestly, look at this beautiful art. Like, these arts of the showcase cards is just wonderful. Like, they went on and they created something amazing, I believe, but then they got lost in trying to do so much, and they wanted to do too much of this collector's thing, and Banish into Fable, another Brawl deck card, Ironcrack Feet extended, Sorcerer's Spyglass foil, and then a board. So that's what they swapped, and they started doing, okay, well, we'll do more commander items. And they put commander-only cards in there. Corvold and Tulane being some of the better ones. There's the Tome as well that allows you to draw cards. So that's also something, Lonesome Unicorn, this is also something that really changed things, because then from there they started putting the pedal to the metal, as they say, and really just go crazy and wild for commanders. Because if you think about it, commander is their best-selling product. Over 70% of all Magic the Gathering players play commander, and this is the truth. There's nothing to it. And Garrison Griffin, then Oathstone Knight, and then, ooh, nice Circle of Loyalty foil, full art. This is nice for the Knights deck. Very good card for the Knights deck, actually. Very beautiful card. And this is why it's a bit disappointing to see that in Commander Masters, some of the decks nowadays just are coming with only 10 new cards. You don't get a lot of value in them. Some are not even that well thought out, I would say. Not because necessarily they didn't care, but it's more that, you know, they're not trying to give you as much value out of the deck as much as they used to. They are more trying to, well, just give you enough so you can buy something really expensive. It's okay, it gives you an idea, and then go from there. And I think it's setting a really scary precedent, because if this stuff will go really well, oh, Shimmering Dragon, another commander classic, then what they'll do is that they'll realistically push a lot more for higher prices and less cards, and this is what we're seeing nowadays. Funny enough, if you're more patient and you wait for the commander decks, if you look at the 40k commander decks and all the other commander decks, you see that they start losing pride very quickly. They start depreciating, as they say, because there's a lot of hype at the beginning. Everybody wants them, everyone wants to try them, everybody wants to review them, or just right, everybody wants to play with them, but then realistically you realize, actually, you know, you can find them for much cheaper later down the line. Cannon Red, great card, Stolen by the Fae. And this was the buy a box promo at the time. Ironcraft Feet foil. And yeah, the idea of this is that, yeah, realistically, all you have to do is wait. These decks have been printed, you can easily get them, and realistically, they're going to drop in price. It's just annoying because, you know, the Wizards of the Coast people, well, they set the price for distributors, and then distributors set a specific price, and so shops are forced to sell at a specific rate. And this is why you see that Amazon sells for much lower, because it goes straight from Wizards of the Coast to Amazon to you, rather than going from Wizards of the Coast to a distributor to another distributor to a store to you. Okay, so we've seen quite a few beautiful cards. Nothing amazing so far, by the way, in this collector's unboxing, but it's fine. We're not doing it for that. Our Fairy Guy Mither. Oh, Tome of Legends. Now this is one of the better cards that I was talking about from the Brawl deck. And it's very nice. It allows you to draw cards really easily. It costs really cheap. This is a very good card. Piper of the Swarm, which was the bundle promo. Actually, not this version, but it has its own version. Then for Toad. So yeah, in the end, this set for me holds a very good place in my heart, but it has changed the way Magic the Gathering is being sold nowadays. And if you're wondering when it happened, why it happened, well, you have to look no further than this set. The Booster Fund project is when and where they actually went and changed things up, and that's where and when we started seeing things shift. Cauldron of Eternity foil, Lustrate foil, nice. But other than that, I'm hoping that the future of Magic the Gathering is going to be a bright one. I hope that maybe Wizards of the Coast listens to players, lowers the prices a little bit, and maybe gives a bit more value out of the things that they put out. Although it's highly doubtful, because unfortunately they are a corporation. You know, Hasbro is a corporation and Wizards of the Coast is a big company, and they need to make revenue. And do remember, if you've seen also the Fireside Chat analysis, that they are not necessarily here only for you. They're here for their investors. They're here to make money. It is a business. And Tulane, one of the great reprints. We're getting really lucky with the wildcard slot. They're doing this for them to be able to make money for their investors. And realistically, this is where Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro is looking at. And you and I were still valued, and I believe that the heart is still there for people like Mark Rosewater and all the artists and all the people that create this wonderful set. And then it just hits the wall of, you know, the marketing people and the money people, and the finance people start deciding, okay, well then let's do it this way and that way. And then there's so much overlap after a while that it starts muddling, and unfortunately money speaks louder in our world than most things. Castle Vantress, that is a sad reality. Faber Elder, not a great little unboxing here. I would like to point out, we've only had a couple of good cards in the wildcard slot. We haven't really had anything fancy here in the rares or mythics. We have, you know, the Bonecrusher Giant, the Lovestruck Beast, but we don't have the Questing Beast. We didn't get the Eng yet. And we didn't get Oko, but we'll see. We still have a little bit to go either way. I hope you've enjoyed this little different kind of opening, and I hope that in a way the next few sets that you get are going to be amazing, that you find in that we find that in the Wilds of Eldraine we're going to find really good cards, and that this hobby of ours continues to grow in a wonderful way, because we're truly passionate about this at Command Tower. Back then, Torbrand, Castle of Garenbrig, that's not bad, and we have only 2 more left. Also, if you stuck through until the end, from Scotty and I, we thank you very much, and I hope that you've enjoyed this. It would really help us out a lot, small channel like ours, if you would like, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help small channel like ours quite a bit. And yeah, it's been a great journey so far. I feel very fortunate that I can share my passion for Magic the Gathering with you guys out there, and I hope that the community continues to grow and thrive, especially here in the UK, and that this beautiful hobby of ours continues to thrive. Okay, another Circle of Loyalty. There was a lot of duplication back then. This was the issue, like the way that it was cut. I mean, to this day you still get it, but as you see, we've seen quite a few Yorvol Circle of Loyalty, so it was cut in a certain way that you get a lot of duplication, unfortunately. So if you didn't get the lucky slots, you didn't really get much of anything else. Anyway, this is the last one. Thank you very much for watching. Let's see how we go on with this one. Fairy, Rally the Throne, Grumgully, Embereth, Flax Intruder, Awesome Unicorn, Glamorous Stroll, Harmonious Archon, and Lovestruck Beast again. And that's so, yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Make sure to stick around. We will have a series of videos explaining what's in the Wilds of Eldraine boosters as usual, and we will try and explain everything there. And yeah, until next one, this has been myself and Scotty. We wish you a lovely day, a blessed day. Be good, be kind, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.